With the release of the Reality War just the other day, we sadly had the departure of Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor. And with that came one of the biggest controversial decisions the show has ever done, yes, rivaling The Timeless Child, and that is having Billie Piper appear at the end of the regeneration, supposedly as the 16th Doctor. Unfortunately, this has overshadowed Ncuti's regeneration and departure from the show, but let's have a look as to why. So we have to start off by clarifying, they don't actually call this Billie Piper incarnation the Doctor. The episode ends and it just says introducing Billie Piper. Now if you look at any time another actor has first came into the show as the Doctor, we do have the confirmation in that episode that is who they are playing. Here we do not. But let's hypothetically look at what will happen if she is. If Billie Piper is playing the 16th Doctor, I think this is a good choice for two reasons. One is the potential for some truly unique storytelling. And sure, we've had the 14th Doctor and you can say that's the same thing. For me, it's not. The Doctor returning to one of his own faces and returning to a face of a loved companion is two very different things, and I would really love to see how this plays out. And two, by having that familiar face, you will just naturally bring in viewers, hence why everyone thinks this is a stunt casting, which it can definitely be argued for, but there'll be more on that later. As a fan, having an older companion come back, but as the Doctor, just seems like such a crazy idea, and I'm fully on board to see what happens if that is the case. And for me, having a companion, having that familiar face as the Doctor, it's great for quality reassurance with the show. Like, Billie Piper knows the show, she knows the character, she knows the roles of each character in the show, she knows the format, she has that relationship with Rusty Davies. And I also think because of all of that, Billie Piper would smash the role of the Doctor. Not to say that other actors obviously can't get the grips of the Doctor, because that happens every time. But bringing back an actor that people already have attachment to, who will probably nail the role from the get-go and actually bring something unique, guaranteed, is definitely a great concept that they have utilised perfectly here. But it was 20 odd years ago she was a regular in this show, so a lot of newer fans or casual viewers may not even know who she is. Especially with the supposed aim of this era to be a jumping on point, a way for new viewers to get into the show. Because that just hasn't happened, and it's not going to happen anymore if you get in an actor from 20 plus years ago and try and ride the hype from that to get everybody excited. Sure, people who don't know who she is just equally as shocked as if any other Doctor's shown up. But the hope there is for the fan service, really. I will say though that despite the aim of this new era being to get in new viewers, it kind of doesn't seem like that was fully the aim. It seems like that was the aim on the surface, but generally I think the number reset was just purely for Disney, so that people don't have to start on a series 14 or 15. It feels like there hasn't been much of an effort to make this a true jumping on point. Church on Ruby Road works in a way, but it just doesn't introduce the Doctor and its world as well as it has in previous seasons. And to me, if you disregard the numbers resetting, and you understand that this is just a series 15 of a show, a cliffhanger of the character from season 1 and 2 coming back as the Doctor is just phenomenal. I'd like to say I'm talking on behalf of certain fans, but maybe this is just me, but when I'm watching a show and I'm on season 15, bringing a character back, and not even in the same way, is just so great. It's a good mix of nostalgia and fan service whilst doing something new, and that's why I'm so excited for it. That's not to say this era shouldn't have been a jumping on point, but to me it gives a bit more lenience to this return of Billie Piper. This hasn't really been a good jumping on point, and so her coming back, it feels natural to me of a show that's been running that long, that is still treated as that highest season number, if that makes any sense. Now, if she is the Doctor, I think the main question for me is, how is she the Doctor? Now, I've seen a couple of theories floating around, and to me, I definitely follow the one that this is sort of going to be a bad wolf Doctor, where the last time the heart of the TARDIS was opened or had a soul look into it was Rose Tyler, all the way back in 2005. And I think with the Doctor obviously flooding his regeneration energy into the TARDIS, potentially the heart of the TARDIS, then with Rose Tyler's face being the last face it saw, and the link between the Doctor and that within this finale, that face has kind of taken over that regeneration. It was a sort of two-way energy share. The Doctor gives the regeneration energy, and the Time Vortex energy kind of seeps back into him. I also know another reason people don't believe Billie is the Doctor here is because instantly she feels like she's made aware that that is Rose Tyler's face. And whilst that is true, I think this theory can easily explain it, because the Doctor would be aware that he's just absorbed the time vortex energy and that face has come back. Now, it's not the most concrete theory, but if she was the Doctor, I really hope that this is somehow the way they explain it. I almost feel like if you're doing something like this, it has to be explained. I don't think the face of Rose should just appear out of nowhere after 20 years. Sure, people can make the argument she's still on the Doctor's mind, because she was one of the closest companions he ever had, but to be honest, I don't think that explanation is good enough. There has to be a reason after all this time that's happened, and for me, that is the only valid one I can see at the moment. Now, most likely, she isn't the Doctor, and if that is the case, this right here is actually Rose. And with how she speaks, seemingly knowing it's her there, I think that may make the most sense. It's her seeing the TARDIS and that she is back in space. It just fully justifies that reaction. Now, the way I like to think of this and how it works is that because of the reality manipulation and the Doctor sort of shifting the world and basically making it a parallel world ever so slightly, I think this is going to tie back to the whole Rose being in Pete's world and it being a slightly different universe, and potentially the energy link that the Doctor did to do that has caused some sort of intertwining of the worlds or the timelines, and maybe the new Doctor has been displaced with Rose, so as he regenerates, the new body is actually now in the parallel universe where Rose is, and she has now swapped and taken place here. And this again can use the explanation of the Bad Wolf, with Rose being the last person to look into the heart of the TARDIS in the time vortex. I then see this being a one-off Christmas special, where the Doctor and Rose have to try and swap back places from these alternate universes, almost fixing the reality shift of this past season. And if this is Rose, much like I was discussing previously, just why now? I just hope Russell has some sort of explanation up his sleeve that actually works for this. This episode could have ended by it fading to black and not seeing who the next Doctor is, but he purposely put Billie Piper in there, and sure, it's to build intrigue and to build excitement, which may or may not have failed for certain fans, but I also think he has an idea of where the show's going. As I've mentioned, I'm actually a fan of Billie Piper here being the 16th Doctor potentially, and I am excited for the future, but there is a big problem, which I'm sure you've seen online and maybe even share the opinion yourself, of Russell T Davies trying to just use fan service and nostalgia to try and sell every finale or new season. Now, obviously that has been the formula for IPs such as Marvel, and it actually has worked in the past and is good sparingly, but it is done too frequently here. And I think that's the key issue, frequently. It's not the issue with the idea itself, it's how quick and how much it has happened within such a short period of time. After just having Tennant be the Doctor before Ncuti Gatwa, it just feels wrong having Billie Piper be the one after him. He feels like a buffer Doctor that is just waiting between these two appearances. He has such a short stint and is so detached from all the nostalgia-heavy aspects of these seasons, it just feels a bit unfair on him. He sticks out as the Doctor that just should not have existed in that moment in time. And I have actually thoroughly enjoyed Ncuti Gatwa, so that is nothing on his performance or his character. I just feel like he has been done over a little bit here, regardless of if it was his decision to leave or not and how that's impacted this. If you have seen my review of The Reality War, you'll know I love that episode and how the series wrapped up, and actually pretty much every element I found enjoyment in, but I still agree with the majority in the fact that the show kind of needs to move on and look to the future rather than the past. Bringing classic villains or characters back is never the issue. Obviously it worked in RTD1. Every single finale of RTD1 was an old villain, but they were seeded better into the series, although they did have more episodes back then. I just think the recent nature of having multiple classic villains back, the 14th Doctor back, Rusty Davies himself back, just hasn't let this go down well. And I would argue if none of that happened, if we had all new characters and villains this season, it went straight from Jodie to Ncuti, I do believe that when he regenerated and it went to Billie Piper, people would be loving it. It would have probably been one of the most incredible regenerations and surprises of all time, but because of the frequency and the timing of it, it has fell flat completely. We're currently at a stage now where nostalgia doesn't seem to work. The fact that this has fell flat for 99% of fans just shows that nostalgia can't even work right now. Now I'm rolling with and excited for Billie Piper as the 16th Doctor, but clearly Ncuti's early departure is kind of to blame for this. Ncuti was meant to stay, maybe for another even 2 seasons, filming another back-to-back block like he did with seasons 1 and 2 within early 2025. We obviously know this because Ncuti at the end of 2024 went on Graham Norton's show saying early 2025 he will be filming season 3, with obviously that clip getting cut from the show. Because of this, we know an alternate ending was shot for season 2, and we know that Disney not renewing on time is why he left. And sadly, with Ncuti as the Doctor, this was always bound to happen. Most of the actors coming into Doctor Who generally are here to start their career, or to enhance their career. Whereas Ncuti was brought on board literally as the demand for him increased. In order for him to stay the Doctor, Disney had to renew after season 1. The reception of that did not make them want to do that. Now, we don't know much of the behind the scenes just yet. I cannot wait to eventually find out. But it seems like Russell Davies and Ncuti Gatwa generally were under the assumption that Disney would say yes or no after season 1. That clearly did not happen. And I really wish they just gave a yes or no. By stalling it until season 2, meaning there's a whole year with Ncuti not knowing the state of the show, he just can't wait around that long. It seems like he has loads of projects calling his name, and he's not just going to wait around for a show he's only been part of for 2 years. I personally believe he loves the show, but like every other actor of the Doctor, people aren't going to stay around forever, and one of the most likely reasons to leave would be if the show is not filming and does not even know when it's filming. Ncuti has been so good throughout his tenure, but generally I think that's part of the problem. He is sort of overqualified by the time he was cast. He didn't need the show to boost his career. If anything, he was kind of being used to boost the show's popularity. Which is not great when you've got a show that's got a multi-season plan, when the show is also probably at one of its lowest points in its history, where you need to return to some normal level of consistency and excitement for the future. It almost makes me wish he wasn't the Doctor at this point in time. As much as he has been great, I think we needed a Doctor that was in it for the long haul, which could bring this show back into a higher public perception. The show is in a spot where we needed that original RTD plan to play out. That is made more clear by this finale, with the large majority of the fan base hating the 16th Doctor reveal, hating this episode and how it's turned out, and almost being fully turned off by the show, not wanting to follow it anymore. Because that is what has happened now with that plan not being followed. As I've spoken about lots in this video already, I cannot wait to see what Billie Piper does in this role. I can't wait to see if she's the 16th Doctor or not, and what stories they actually tell with this concept. But I can fully understand how other fans and viewers may be frustrated by this decision. I will say though, I strongly believe that as a fandom, we need to give some lenience to the show for how this has turned out. Because of Ncuti leaving and Russell Davies' original plan not playing out, I do think that he's done such an incredible job to make a cohesive, fun, emotional, exciting final part to Ncuti's story and to the 15th Doctor's era as a whole. I mean, sure, it's not ideal, but for me, he's made the best out of a bad situation. What do you think then? Do you like the 16th Doctor idea? Do you hate the 16th Doctor idea? Do you agree with my thoughts in this video? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't checked out my review for The Reality War, bear in mind it's super positive, so, you know, you might want to buckle in. That should be on your screen right now. And if you are not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. With that said, hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.